Friends, good afternoon to all of you. For a change, I would like to speak to you in English, if you like that. Otherwise, Telugulo kuda maatladagalen. Dharalanga, enni gantalana maatladagalen. But for a change, I would like to speak to you in English. So if you like that, it's because whatever has brought you until here may not take you thereafter. So therefore, you must pick up English language. There are only three things which are so essential for anybody, whether you belong to social work profession or physics, geology, geography, whatever the subject you call. There are three things that would determine your success. Number one, you must be a very good reader. You must have read a lot, at least 30 to 50 pages per day. If you are not reading, you are not guaranteed of success, I'm telling you. I'm sure our collector sir would definitely subscribe to that view. To become a collector, how much of midnight oil he would have burnt? 16, 17 hours one should be preparing for such kind of a target. Otherwise, it's very difficult, I'm telling you. Not only reading, you must have definitely learned to write well. So reading, writing, and then the last quality, conferencing, speaking out. If you don't pick up these three skills, I'm sure you cannot go anywhere. You would stay back wherever you are. So with that motto, I'm telling you, I would like to speak to you for a while only in English, so that I don't know how many of you would really understand what I'm speaking to you, but at least you would know there is something he has spoken today. That impression I would like to carry along as I'm moving out of this place. So anyway, distinguished dignitaries on the stage, on the dais, and my young friends, it's a wonderful day actually, because I left social work teaching 22 years ago, but it's there in my blood. It's part of my DNA. I am still a practicing social worker, though I am not teaching that profession for a long time, of course. In fact, in both combined, I would say that in Telangana region, in Telangana state, I was the first social work faculty member to be appointed for MSW. And I would always remain thankful to God for giving me that position. I was the first faculty to teach social work MSW students in the state. And not only that, I was the first PhD to be awarded in social work by Usmania University. So I still enjoy those kind of achievements, and I would still attribute all my success to my beloved Almighty. Why? Because He has given me that idea as to how I should move forward in my profession. Anyway, now as a student, I was always inspired by my teachers, because they were wonderful teachers of social work subjects. And then our teachers really empowered us to understand this subject, and not only that, to read. It's because I read almost all the subjects those days they were available, all the textbooks those days they were available in the library. I would still remember the color of the book. I would still remember the author of the book. I would still remember the publisher of the book, the year of publication. Not only that, I would still remember in which rack, which corner those books were located. And I would guide all my juniors, go to that rack, color of the book. In so-and-so corner you would find it. To that extent, we were so much reading kind in those days. And because of that, we are surviving today, and we were thriving. It's just because of reading, it helped us today. Very confidently, I can face any interview, because whatever goes in your mind only will come out. If nothing goes in your mind, what comes out? Tell me. An idle man's brain is a devil's workshop, we say that. Nothing productive comes out of your mind if you are not equipped. So I remember one of my professors had asked me to develop a definition of social work. Today we struggle to learn definitions of social work from textbooks. but we were asked to develop a social work definition. And I still remember as a student, the definition which I have developed, I want to share with you. In just 3 or 4 words, I have learned to define what is social work. You may not find them in the textbooks, because if it is everything in the textbooks, I don't need, because I've already got what is there in the textbooks. Now what is I should be giving to the community? I need to pick up the definition. So what I defined is that it is a process of restoration. So social work is called a restoration profession. It's a process of, now I'm counting the numbers, the words, restoration of individual, institutional, interactional processes. That's how we define social work as a student. I don't know how many of you really got it as a social work student, as well as a lot of my friends are there as teachers today in social work. The purpose of social work is a restoration process. You're supposed to restore what was lost in the past. What is lost? You know that? We've lost what is called the interaction between individual and the institution. You are the individual, and you were born in an institution called family. You raised up with the institutions like, you say, friendship, the neighborhood, the clubs, the guilds, the associations, the school, the religious institutions, your economic institutions where you go for your jobs. You lost that interaction with these institutions. As a result, I'm sharing you the secret. Why problems crop up? Or why do we experience problems? We experience problems because the interaction between individuals and the institutions is gone or collapsed. The problems just crop up because of the failure of the interaction between institutions and the individuals. Why family problems? There's an interaction failure. Why friendship problems? There's a failure between interaction and friendship. Why there's a problem in the organizations today? There's a failure of interaction. Why there's a problem with the religion today? There's a failure of interaction. Religious leaders are supposed to restore that interaction. They failed as leaders. Business leaders failed as in the process of restoring. Academicians have failed in restoring that interaction. And that's the exactly place where social work fits in. Our job is to restore that interaction. You have to go one step ahead to do that. And how do we do it? Very difficult to do that. And that's why I must be thankful to the other disciplines. For example, psychology. We borrowed heavily from psychology subject and learned how to restore the mind and the individual's interaction. Because psychology talks about the mindset, how we interact with the environment. Now we borrowed heavily from sociology, all the theories of sociology, so that we would learn how to understand the institutions and interact with them. Because sociology talks about institutions. And we've learned something from anthropology, because anthropology talks about how the Stone Age man until the modern man lived through all his life or her life. And we borrowed heavily from all these subjects. And after seeing the physics faculty members here, I quickly recollected, how about social work also borrowed something from physics? It also borrowed from political science. We understand political process as an influencing. You can get things done only through influence. If you can influence people, you can get your things done. So we borrowed heavily from political science. Of course, we also borrowed from economics. Social work students must understand the factors which promote the balance between demand for and supply of the commodities, demand for and the supply of the services in the society. We borrowed heavily from economics. Now, the dynamics of change. How do we change? Why people resist change? We borrowed from physics, particularly the third Newton's law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Why people resist change? That's because of the Newton's law. So we also borrowed from all the social sciences as well as some of those natural sciences. And that's how social work has become a very integrated social sciences subject today. So don't you think we must all be thankful to all those professions? Because they were just shelved, they were just confined to the textbooks, and we borrowed them from those textbooks and put them into practice, into the reality. That's how social work has become an applied social sciences. Now, one final point before I conclude my talk. How do we develop human beings? That's the ultimate pursuit of any profession, let me tell you. There are literally hundreds of theories in political science, economics, sociology, whatnot. You talk about any social science. There are literally hundreds of theories which talk about how to develop human beings. But I have a very simple understanding, having distilled or having taken all that after filtering from all the disciplines. There are only 4 pillars of development. If only you can think about these 4 pillars, I am sure you can be the defenders of development. You can be the promoters of development. As a social work professional, your job is to promote development in the society, particularly a nation like ours. We have to promote the development of this nation. Now, you know a lot of theories, but I've just started scribbling on some of those understandings. Like, having borrowed from so many subjects, what have we done so far? Very quickly, the first pillar of development, which we borrowed from medical science and which we also borrowed partly from physical sciences, the physical development. You have to take care of your body, you have to take care of your health. So in order to have fitness, what is that you should do? Social work has to promote physical development. How can you promote physical development? It's actually the forte of the medical sciences. How do you do that? Doctors cannot come to this field and teach all those things because they're confined to the hospitals. You have to take that knowledge which you learn from your class, go to the field and explain them. How to have good health, what kind of food to consume, what kind of drinks to consume. You have to educate people. Not only that, how to keep their bodies fit. If your child is not keeping well, how as a mother you should watch that child and take care of the child's health. That's how what we call physical development starts. How to keep yourself fit. Now, there's an app which tells me that on an average, you have to have 7,000 steps per day if you want to keep yourself fit. But I'm trying to stake only 5,000 because it's not possible in my workplace. And that's why I'm preferring an RTC bus to do some walking. Because from RTC bus stand to my home, I can walk, otherwise I can take an auto and go. So I'm trying in my workplace, I'm not using the elevator. So this app is counting how many steps I'm taking. I just want to see one way, does that really have impact on my body fitness? I'm able to stand 8 hours and continuously conduct training program. How am I doing it? Let me tell you, I eat only 1 chapati a day in the morning. And just small cup of rice I eat it. So they all would know that, how I would eat. But still I'm sustaining. How do I get my energy? It's not merely because of vitamins and minerals that you take. Of course, I can talk quite a lot about it. Social work students should have this understanding. Vitamins does count. Deficiency of vitamins would cause thyroid problems. In fact, today there's a theory which says that diabetes is a malnutritional disease, not a lifestyle disease. All the cooked food that you eat doesn't contain any vitamins and minerals because they're all depleted into the air the minute you cook it beyond 70 degrees temperature. It's a junk food that we are eating, though you call it's a typical traditional Indian food, which has become junked. Beyond 70 degrees temperature to 150 degrees temperature you're cooking. All that is a useless food that you're consuming. Your body doesn't recognize cooked food. Do you know that? Your body recognizes only raw food. But how many of us are eating raw food today? That's one of the reasons why this is the diabetic capital of the world. All health problems crop up more in this country only. How many of you know Andhra and Telangana people suffer from gastroenteritis more? That's why you have a Asian gastroenteritis institution in this city. Who said that biryani is a very healthy food? Hyderabadis are all sick. I'm not telling you. It was an article covered in Deccan Chronicle newspaper. Front lines. Why? Because they consume too much of biryani. But I've read the Nizami's history that Nizam used to eat only 1 cup of biryani. We eat, I don't have to talk about that. So, you can understand, as a social work student, it's your responsibility to promote physical development. You have to talk to people what to eat, what not to eat, what to drink, what not to drink. Any brewed drink is a poison. Why would people drink? You never told them. So, social work students have to talk about those things. I've gone to so many villages. In fact, today I practice. Every 2 months, I visit 3 tribal belts where nobody would visit. Even today, I do that. And a team of experts, like professionals, like we are, we sponsor our own money. We will never take money from anybody. We go to interior forest tribes or tribes living on the mountain places. We go and distribute medicines. We give them some brief teachings on how to take care of their health. But poor people, they are drunk always, daytime also. They produce milk, they sell milk, but they don't drink. They produce vegetables, they sell them, but they don't eat. You tell me, how do we expect them to have physical fitness? Your job is to teach them. So that is first pillar. Most important, if you are fit, I am sure you can pursue your life goals, your ambitions, your dreams. Second pillar, which is much more important, is called the mental pillar. Your mind, the psychological aspect. How can you have good mental fitness? You must read good books, positive psychology books, good biographies of great achievers. Talk about them, read them. Encourage all students to read at least one biography, 2 weeks or 1 week. You should take 1 to 2 weeks time. Ask the students to come to the classroom and share what is that they have learned. If I were there, I would have encouraged it. I do that in my workplace. 30 students or 40 students. Every student is supposed to pick up one positive psychology book, read it, come back and give me 15-minute presentation. I'll give 25 marks for that. We do that even today in our college. For long years we are practicing it. And they overcome their shyness, their fearfulness, all that is gone. They become very bold. They can face the realities of life. It's because they are doing. So mental fitness is very important. Don't watch all that stupid junk things on televisions and your social media. You waste lot of time on them. Don't waste time on those things. I don't sit before an idiot box because I'm not an idiot outside. So I don't waste time on television screens because you find full of violence and I don't think they're giving me any good thing. I don't spend time reading newspapers also because newspapers are full of negative information. So I would read only positive psychology books, maybe some good religious books, some great achievers' biographies because it is helping me to shape up my positive understanding about the society. Otherwise, I'm always cynical. What is the society? Why my society is like this? Why should I blame politicians? Why should I blame bureaucrats? I don't have to. What is my role? As a social work student, you have to strengthen your mental pillar. Not only yours, people around you, your family members, and then also the community. Now I'm talking about the third pillar. You can by now guess what is the third pillar. The third pillar is called the social pillar. You're supposed to have good relations with everybody. Heavily social work talks about relationships. You had a problem with your neighbor because the interaction is failed. You have a problem with your husband, your wife, your children because your interaction has failed. You have a problem with your boss because that interaction has failed. Why are you having hesitation to say sorry to someone? Why do we always stick to our own guns? That's what egoist. Why do you want to protect your ego? You must say, I'm sorry if you had committed a mistake. Build relations again. Give nice gifts to people so that relationships can be strengthened. Social pillar is very important. Time is gone where our children no longer greet when guests come home. Why? As parents, we have failed in training them. You're not training your children how to greet when the guests come to you. I remember when I went to Dr. Vijay's house, both of his children would come, they say namaste and fall on my feet, which is against my wish. Actually, nobody should touch my feet. That's my philosophy. But when they come and say namaste, sir, I'm so happy. They are sustaining that culture in their family. But in my family, I have to pull my children who are somewhere deep inside the bedrooms playing with their computer games. I have to call them and say, uncle has come, please wish them. I'm still doing that even today. Because my daughter is in US, but my son, I still have to try with him. He will be confined to that computer playing games or whatnot. But I have to drag him out and say, uncle has come, please wish him. Times have come. No longer children call us uncles and aunts. A time is coming. Your children will call people by names. I'm telling you. Elders. What? Why that is happening? Or why would it happen? It's because we all have have failed actually. We didn't help them build social relationships. You're supposed to be good with everybody. Then only you can promote development in the society. You can minimize lot of problems if only you sustain this interaction with your neighbors. Always try to wish people first. Don't expect others to wish you first. That's our problem today. Always wish people first. That's the starting point for building relationships. If you are not in talking terms with somebody, take a sweet box and go and talk to that somebody today. Or invite that somebody to your home because there is a function in your home. That's a beautiful opportunity. I do that. If there is a small function in my home, I'll invite all the guys who are against me. And I'll feed them well that day. Special care I'll pay or attention. And I'm so happy with them. I have restored all my interactions with the people who hated me. They're nice friends with me today. And I'm very peaceful. I can sleep full 8 hours. If you have enemies, I don't think you can sleep, I'm telling you. Not possible. Anyway, the last pillar which I want to spend a little time and then I want to discontinue my talk. The last pillar is the pillar which virtually education system has ignored. The last pillar. That's the reason I'm also speaking to some of the NGO movements. Why NGO movements are not able to achieve the success that they desire to achieve. Their benchmarks are very high, but they are not even closer to the benchmark even after 70 years. NGO movement has not achieved as much as it is expected to achieve. Why? Because you might economically uplift somebody, you might mentally uplift somebody, you might physically or socially uplift somebody, but I don't think those will stay for long. As the Chinese verb goes, you can give someone a fish to eat, you're only helping him for the day. But if you teach him how to fish, you'll be giving him a lifetime opportunity for a livelihood. That's what we are not doing it. So NGOs are supposed to take care of this last pillar as much as any social work student should understand this last pillar. Shall I open it up? It's a very important point. And very recently, one Australian professor, social work professor, has written an article. 2 words, spirituality in social work. I think that is the first article so far in the world. Fortunately, I got that. I read it. Of course, there are a lot of mistakes in it. I don't have to comment on that. There are a lot of limitations on how he views what is called spirituality. But let me tell you, the spiritual pillar is the most important pillar than rest of all the 3 pillars. You know why? Because the whole battles, all the battles I would say, fought in this world today are not in the battlefields. They're all fought in your heart. All the battlefields. You know that Vladimir Putin and then Vladimir, what is that gentleman's name? Volodymyr Zelensky. Both names are one, you know that? Both are Vladimir's only. And these guys were classmates in the college days. They had some tips in the college days. Could that mean that Putin is taking it back? Could that be an ego issue? You have to understand like this. So if only you had understood how spiritual you are, I'm sure you would take care of rest of all the pillars. Unfortunately, our houses, that means our lives, are built only on the first 3 pillars. That's why it is tilted. Our lives are tilted because the 4th pillar is a very weak pillar in our lives. We have not paid attention to our spiritual life. Spiritualism is different. Spirituality is very important. Strengthen your spirit. We are all spirit beings. We are just covering with the coat of clothes, that's it, flesh. Flesh is only our cover, but actually we are spirit beings. If only you can understand that the minute you leave your body, you are a spirit. Then spirit is more powerful than the body. If you understand, you can build up your spirit. You can imagine everyone in this classroom is a spirit. How your relationships would be? You would love definitely each other better. You would love others as much as you love yourself. That's the reason you would be philanthropist. That's the reason you would donate. That's the reason you would help people out. So you're supposed to help them out. If you are so selfish, you would never help people out. So that's the one place where, as I said, NGO movement should have definitely taken care of. They are so ignorant of that pillar called spirituality. Even in social work education, in the curriculum I'm talking about, they have ignored the concept of spirituality. It's time we have to pay attention to spirituality, irrespective of the religions, because religion is not talking about spirituality. Spirituality is all about love for the fellow beings, forgiveness, being peace with others. These are some of the spiritual values. Help people out when they're in troubled times. In whatever the way you can. In whatever the way you can. Help people out. And ultimately, that's how we define what is called social work, what is called social service, what is called social welfare. All are interchangeably used today, but they are not correct. Social service is offered to people irrespective of their backgrounds. Like electricity. That's a social service offered to all the people irrespective of their backgrounds. Who can afford, they can have. Who cannot afford, still they can have. But social welfare is exclusively for people from the disadvantaged groups. We are supposed to take care of the people who are downtrodden. You might come from an upper caste, no problem, but still you are supposed to lift all the people from the downtrodden communities. That's your responsibility. And I would say that why you are rich? Why God made you rich? so that you can take care of the poor. Very simple answer. Why you are poor? And why do you have rich people around? So that you can learn from the rich people and then overcome your poverty. Poverty can never be fixed by any NGO, any government, I can guarantee that. No matter how much of theories that you have in economics, and poverty can never be eliminated unless until, as a social worker, you teach people how to multiply money. That I was sharing with Dr. Vijay this morning. It's a simple solution. If you want to fix poverty, you cannot help them add the money. That's what NGOs are doing today. You are helping people add their money, savings. It doesn't help them. You should help people to learn to multiply their money. That's the only way you can fix poverty in this nation. I don't know how it can be practiced, but I gave the solution. But practice is what you are going to do tomorrow on the jobs as social work students. So that's how I would conclude. So help people as much as possible. So that's how I would define finally. Social work is defined as helping people to help themselves. Help people to help themselves. Restore that interaction. If two friends fought together, they are not talking to each other. What is that you're doing? You're a mediator. Restore that interaction. If husband and wife are not fighting, they're going to the court of law for seeking divorcement. What is that you're doing? Family social work, family child welfare. You have specialization. You're supposed to restore that inspiration. So with that preview, I think I have enough. I think I have spoken more than what I was. So thank you so much for patient listening. And I'm sure you can practice social work. Thank you.